And welcome into yet another edition of Smack Talk here on the Sportskeeda YouTube, Sportskeeda Facebook, and if I've been informed correctly, and if I've set everything up correctly, we are live on the Sportskeeda Twitter page as well here for the first time on Smack Talk. And what a show that we have to recap for you tonight, closing out with Roman Reigns laying out his own cousin on the entrance ramp to the Superdome. We had an incredible moment with Alexa Bliss tonight and the Fiend, including an epic stare down at Roman Reigns, and we all know why that happened. The Intercontinental Championship feud is heating up. We have so much to get into today. Again, appreciate your comments, appreciate the love, the likes, the clicks, any interaction you can give us. We really appreciate that. It just helps drive more people to the show. Already have 88 people watching here today. Ozzy and David and Mike. You know, and yes, Ozzy, I think you meant to say Bengals, but I'll take bagels as well. Yes, go both. Go Bengals, go bagels. Appreciate everybody joining in today. Before we get into the show, though, today, it was a sad week. The Sportskeeda family lost a member this week. Also, the WWE Universe lost a family member this week. Joe Laurinaitis, better known as Road Warrior Animal, passed away this week at the age of 60. He was the co-host on the Legion of Raw program with Chris Weatherstone. We will be having a Legion of Raw program this week, but yeah, I speak for everybody here at Sportskeeda and the entire WWE Universe, passing on our condolences to the Laurinaitis family. So let's get into it now. Before we get into that, though, this is a new dawn, a new era for the Smack Talk program. I would like to introduce my new co-host here on Smack Talk. She will be joining me every week from here on out. It is the very lovely, very talented Denise Salcedo. Denise, welcome to the program, and I will let you go ahead and have the floor. You can introduce the fine folks to yourself and let them know why you're here, who you are. Just tell us everything about yourself, Denise.
First of all, hey, Rick, thank you so much for having me on. I am so excited for what you said, this new dawn, this new era. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to talk with everybody about wrestling, the thing that we all love, and especially SmackDown, because it has been a continuously great and awesome show. But just really quickly about me, I like wrestling. I like to talk about it, so here I am.
Fair enough. Denise is got her own YouTube channel, In-State Culture, which covers more than just professional wrestling. Her dream is to interview Taylor Swift one day. Probably going to get a lot of T-Swift references on this program, but Denise will be joining us here throughout the entirety of the show. I'm really excited to have you here, have you part of the program, and I'm very excited, as I am every week, to get to talk about Friday Night SmackDown. Thank God I cover SmackDown, because this show continuously, week in and week out, has just been fantastic. And you got everybody here saying hi and welcome, Denise, including Philip, who is a regular, Tiffany as well, Mike saying all happy to see you, Denise. If you guys have questions, by the way, feel free to throw those in. Make sure to give us a little bit of love in the corner there as well, whether it's a like, whether it's a hate, who knows, whatever you want to do. Just give us an interaction and we'll get going. But just your overall thoughts on the show tonight, Denise. I thought this was another home run, a couple of little slow spots, but they can't all be perfect shows throughout the entirety, but especially that last half hour, I thought was pretty dang fantastic.
Well, I gotta say that I agree with you in the sense that, yeah, the show was really great. I thought, of course, there were some hiccups. I didn't love everything. You know, I wasn't thrilled about having to see, AJ Styles and Sami Zayn and Sami Zayn and Jeff Hardy all today, because that was the match that I was most looking forward to for Clash of Champions. So the fact that we saw it today, I was like, yeah, I want.
You're one of those people.
It kind of the hype went down, Rick.
Getting that matchup, come on.
The hype went down. I was so stoked for seeing it, and so I want to keep that momentum there. So seeing it tonight, like, yeah, obviously, it was a fine match, but I wanted to keep the excitement until the pay-per-view. I'm sorry, am I the only one out here that feels this way?
No, there were several people on social media, a lot of our colleagues who were saying the same thing. Me, I will gladly take a pay-per-view quality match for free every night of the week. I will gladly take it. And you know what? It was so good. I'm excited to see it again. Yet this time, let's actually add ladders for more than aesthetic purposes, because that's really what I'm dying to see. Anytime that Jeff Hardy is in or around a ladder, you know magic is going to happen. And just in case I don't drop this line later on when we get to talking about the IC title picture, the balls on Sami Zayn tonight to ask Jeff Hardy if he knows how painful a ladder match is was just peak Sami Zayn. Just peak Sami Zayn. I love everything that man is doing right now. But Denise, let's hop into the big storyline of the night tonight. And I think we have to close with the main event, what we saw. This Roman Reigns, Jey Uso storyline, it is so good. I wasn't quite sure how they were going to build it. I was so happy that they're giving Jey Uso a shot here, especially with Jimmy out on injury. And each week after week, they find a way to get this match more hyped. And tonight, they really, really sold that angle. The Roman Reigns is the golden one, the chosen one, the born leader, the born winner. Yes, he's worked really hard for everything in his life, but he was always destined for greatness. And they really built that up. And then they really sold it on Jey Uso of, well, yeah, you're good too. You're good too, but you're not the leader of the family. Heck, we can't even tell you apart from your brother, which for somebody like myself is absolutely true. I know there are people out there who can tell them apart, but I literally can't. I can't do it. I'm sorry, Jay. I'm sorry, Jimmy. I can't tell you guys apart. That's not a knock. It's just me. I can't do it. But
breaking twins' hearts everywhere around the world, Rick.
There are some twins that I can tell apart. They're the ones that aren't identical. But Jey Uso, to his credit, has really done masterful work. I know everybody wants to talk about Roman Reigns and his character change and the work that he's doing. But Jey Uso has been given a chance to showcase what he can do, especially from a promo standpoint. The Usos have always been a really good promo standpoint. But, man, you believed every word that Jey Uso said tonight.
Oh, 100%. I mean, there is so much that I love about this. And I'll kind of go ahead and start off with the Roman Reigns aspects of this. So obviously, him working with his cousin, it's definitely going to solidify this heel turn that we have been seeing since his return. I mean, come on, it's his cousin. The story has always been there. It's something that you just can't sort of, make up or just, try to make happen. So with that being said, for Roman Reigns, this is doing phenomenal work because of everything that he has been doing with Paul Heyman, and to now this, I think it's just going to get even better. But now, aside from that, we need to talk about Jey Uso, because for him, like they just said on SmackDown, this is the first time that he's going for, a championship, a solo championship, nevertheless, the Universal Championship. Right. So this is a big deal. But no, he could have easily gotten the spot because you could say, oh, COVID's tie, or, oh, this just works out because it's just his cousin. There's so many reasons why you can argue why he has that spot. But here's the thing, though, is that he is knocking it out of the park completely. By the end of tonight's SmackDown, I swear, I am the biggest Jey Uso fan now that there is. There is not a bigger fan out there. He completely sold me. And here's the thing is that he's had, when this whole feud started, he still had this sort of innocence where it's like, yeah, Roman Reigns is my cousin, and I'm going to trust that he has my back. But obviously, us as the viewers, we've been seeing that that's not necessarily the case with Roman Reigns, that he has this other agenda, this other plan. Obviously, we're seeing the heel side of him. But I like the fact that they've been toying with that, where, Jey Uso hasn't necessarily been able to see that completely the way we have. And so I actually think that this is probably one of my favorite storylines, maybe aside from what they're doing with Sasha and Bayley, that currently right now in the company, and I'm talking, I'm talking Raw, I'm talking NXT, I'm talking SmackDown. I think that what they've been doing with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso has been phenomenal. And I hope that after this, that given that now the viewers and everyone's able to see Jey Uso in a different light, I hope that we are able to continue seeing him in a singles program, because he is consistently proving himself each week.
Yeah, and that's only going to depend on how, long Jimmy is going to be out. I don't know what his injury status is right now. But I was ecstatic when they decided to give Jey this opportunity, because they have a history of, well, if your tag team partner gets hurt, then we're taking you off television. They did it to freaking Matt Hardy, for crying out loud, right after they won the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. The Hardy Boys, Jeff gets hurt, Matt disappears for months at a time. So they found a way to utilize Jey Uso. And yes, this may have only been set up for like this 1 month, just kind of a blow off thing to maybe, you know, get to the Fiend, maybe if that's the next play, which according to the stare down from Alexa Bliss, they're keeping that alive. That's gonna be revisited at some point. But now all of a sudden, Jey Uso is making this very, very interesting, and it's gonna be incredibly interesting to see how this match shakes out at Clash of Champions. I have a feeling, even though after all of this, and I know you want to see Jey Uso, you know, progress and maybe get another shot, I think he's getting sacrificed to the wrestling gods on Sunday.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
I think Roman Reigns is going to go in there and absolutely decimate him, and honestly play up the real life aspect of this story. It's not all of a sudden just going to change for Jey Uso because we want it to. He's not going to lead the pack now all of a sudden. Roman Reigns is still the alpha dog. He's still going to step in there. He's going to do what he always does. He's going to beat the crap out of his little cousin. The little cousin's not going to give up. I expect Jey Uso to take this beating like a man, basically. Like, he might get a couple punches in, and he's not going to give up. But it's going to have to be something where like the ref stops the match. You know, that's how you can really sell Jey Uso as. I mean, he's tough. We know he's tough, but as that tough guy, like, yeah, I'm physically dominated here by Roman Reigns, but I ain't going to give up. I just can't give in to my cousin. I can't give in to my family like that. But he's going to get destroyed on Sunday.
Exactly. And I agree with you 100% on that. I'm not expecting to see him win. I'm obviously knowing that he's going to be the sacrificial lamb. We all know that, right? But the fact that he's actually getting us invested in, oh my God, I feel sorry, not feel sorry for him, but I'm on his side because, you know, I'm seeing, you know, what great work that he's been doing. So we get that, but I still think that even afterwards, once he's all done with this whole Roman Reigns situation, I do think that we should be able to see him, you know, as a separate, maybe not entirely a separate entity from the Usos, but also doing his own thing, because I don't think that there's no reason why they shouldn't also be able to do something separate of each other, given that they've technically already done everything that they possibly can in the tag team division. I mean, they're one of the greatest tag teams of all time, and I'm not just talking, you know, just modern WWE day. I'm talking period. The Usos are one of the best tag teams of all time. So I think this is going to be pretty cool, and I'm actually really excited for this match.
And I'm curious to see what happens when Jimmy does come back, because there's always that possibility, depending on how this match goes, that maybe Jey decides to take his place in the family where it's supposed to be, and maybe he ends up aligning himself with Roman Reigns, and we get that bloodline heel faction of Roman Reigns leading the Usos. I don't know how you get there from where you are right now, but I would love to see that be kind of the end game, where those three are really just running SmackDown. Kind of like when the New Day had all the gold, where Kofi was WWE champion and then Big E and Xavier were the tag team champions. Put all the gold on the bloodline and let them run SmackDown for a while. I think that would be a fantastic thing to watch. I don't know how you get there from here, but I want to see it.
One of the things that I do want to add to this, because I remembered it when you said it. So you said earlier that, you know, maybe we weren't necessarily expecting for this to actually go off the way that it did. And here's the cool thing is that we know in WWE, not everybody gets that. You know, there's so many great workers in the company, and we all know that, but not everybody ever gets, you know, their rock star moment, their showcase moment to really show what they have. You know, there's so many different factors that go into who gets over, who doesn't get over, who gets the proper timing, etc. And I think that right now, Jey Uso's taken that opportunity to really, really, you know, step outside the box and really showcase himself in this, you know, single spotlight, which I think is pretty cool because, like I said, it doesn't happen for everybody. So the fact that he's getting this opportunity, it's doing great stuff for him and his future, and it's only furthering along Roman Reigns as a heel.
Right, and the one thing that this absolutely is, it's money. And Vince loves money. So if he can profit off of this, it will continue past Clash of Champions. Who knows? The plans might absolutely change for Jey Uso and Roman Reigns moving forward just because we as fans are absolutely invested in this. Taking a couple of comments here. Rick, you are talking sense. Of course, I always talk sense. It's one of my strengths. Let's see. So Ryan says, I cannot get over it about Roman Reigns punching your cousin. Well, they've been talking about that they've been fighting since they were little kids. I mean, come on. Families fight. Sometimes it gets physical. Roman Reigns was absolutely sending a message. Jey Uso tried to send a message at the end of SmackDown tonight. Tried to send a message tonight. Said, hey, look, why can't it be me? Well, Roman Reigns answered that statement and said, that's why. Because it's me, and I'm going to physically dominate you on Sunday.
Everyone fights with their cousins. I got a scar on my face from my cousin. True story.
Well, we'll have to hear that another day for sure. Jeffrey wants to know, how about the Fiend as the leader of Retribution? I don't see it. Obviously, Retribution is Raw only, and thank God for that. Otherwise, Denise and I might have to change our names. What, Denise? You would probably be D-Nice.
I already had mine. I tweeted mine out because I love bagels, and I was like, I gotta be cream cheese, man. Like, that's it. That would be my Retribution name. So I'm set on that. It's been set since this whole T-bar thing situation happened.
All right, so we got cream cheese, and mine would be something stupid like Ratchet. I think that's what I tweeted out. So we got cream cheese.
Meatless tacos. That one's all you.
That's a little long for a
all right, just meatless. That's it.
Yeah. How about pain? Okay, because that's what that was. All right. It's an entire saga. For those who are wondering right now, I ordered some tacos. They didn't put meat on the damn tacos. How does that happen? All right. Anyway, that's the last time I'm using DoorDash. That's all I'm going to say. So I do not see the Fiend as the leader of Retribution. I believe T-Bar, formerly known as Dominik Dijakovic, is the leader of Retribution. Also, do we think we will see the Fiend at Clash of Champions?
I would say so. He's been something continuous, obviously, on the show. So I think we have to see some sort of appearance.
It all depends on if Alexa Bliss gets involved, because that is the storyline that's been going on right now, and we can transition very smoothly right into that. That's where this is going. This Alexa Bliss Fiend storyline is, oh my God, it's so good right now. And I don't know.
I was going to ask if you loved it or if you hated it. I wasn't sure on your feelings.
I loved every second of that tonight, especially. The match with Lacey Evans, it kind of drug on, but then they throw those little teases in there at you. Then all of a sudden you get the Fiend now calling to Alexa Bliss, right? So he drops the laugh in there, and all of a sudden she looks around, she gets that gaze look, and then we cut to commercial, because of course they do. That's what WWE does. And then we come back, and the match is still going on. You know, Lacey's dominating, and all of a sudden we get that the lights are flashing, it goes red, we get the lasers going, and then Alexa just loses her mind and destroys Lacey Evans. And apparently beat her up so badly, the ref decided to call for disqualification. I don't know about that, but that crazy look, I got some serious Ghostbuster vibes from that. Like, do you get that reference?
I don't, actually.
Have you seen Ghostbusters?
It's been years, so I completely forgot.
There is no Dana, only Zool, okay? That's what I get from this. It is Sigourney Weaver just completely taken over by some kind of demonic demon, ghoul, whatever you want to call it. She was no longer Alexa Bliss in that situation. Call her Sister Abigail, call her whatever you want. We don't know exactly where this is going. I still don't buy the fact that she's turning into Sister Abigail. Everybody's kind of fixated on that process of somebody becoming Sister Abigail. I think this is just the Fiend doing what he does, manipulating people, changing people, and we're actually really seeing it play out in front of our eyes, this very, very slow change. And she's obviously gravitated towards the Fiend, and that's what that was. And you just see this stare down as she's walking up the ramp. And then the moment of the night for me, honestly, that stare down at Roman Reigns. She just stares a hole through Roman Reigns. Why? Because Roman Reigns is the one who took the Universal Championship from the Fiend. It was so, so good. I am hooked. I am absolutely hooked on this storyline right now.
I agree with you. And here's the thing is that I think I see it differently. I see it more as she's becoming, if this is the guy that she, or the monster that she necessarily, has a crush on or is infatuated by. I mean, there's been several times where, whether you watch it in movies, whether you've experienced it in real life, when you fall in love with someone or you become infatuated with someone, you start to sort of, become obsessed with the things that they become obsessed with. You sort of take interest in the things that they're taking interest in. So I like the idea that they're taking sort of this like schoolgirl crush that Alexa Bliss may have on the Fiend and sort of incorporating it into her and making her psycho, kind of like a Harley Quinn thing. And we all know that Alexa Bliss is definitely a fan of hers. So I love the fact that they're incorporating that and that they're making her sort of like, yeah, she's like psycho, but she's not she's psychotic in the way that she's infatuated with him for whatever reason it may be. And I love it. And see, here's the thing is that I think if anyone was going to do this type of character, type of storyline, it had to be Alexa Bliss, because I think she's one of the few women that can definitely pull it off, because she has the charisma, she has the personality, she has the look. And I mean, this girl, she can do it all. I'm sorry, but I'm a big Alexa Bliss fan.
And that's fine. And you know what? They're really giving her a chance now to show off her acting chops, because yeah, we know she can play, that annoying Miss Bliss character, and we know she can play, a nice, coffee sipping best friend, but now she's getting a chance to really kind of spread her wings on this. And again, I can't wait until we're actually getting like, and I hope we get it, like we're getting like Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss inside the Firefly Funhouse segments. Like that's what I want to see. As a roundabout way of finally getting back to the question that was asked, whether we're going to see the Fiend at Clash of Champions, it all depends on, do we see Alexa Bliss? Because Alexa Bliss doesn't have a match of Clash of Champions. Her best friend, at least we think still best friend, Nikki Cross does. Wouldn't tell that by tonight, though, because Nikki Cross wasn't on the show, which I found that very...
Right. There was really only just that mention when Bayley was like, hey, I'm going through this with Sasha, but hey, I have to focus right now on Nikki.
Right, and that... God, you look at Clash of Champions, and it's like the two of what should be your biggest matches don't feel like it, and it's both women's championship matches. The one for Raw is on the frickin' pre-show. I could spend an hour complaining about that. No world championship match. I don't care who the opponent is. I don't care who the champion is. Should never be on a pre-show. I don't care if we're talking men, women. Does not matter. Should not take place, and it's inexcusable that it is. Moving over to the SmackDown side, we all know Nikki Cross is losing this match. We all know Nikki Cross is losing this match again. It's just all about how. And they could not have telegraphed it more in the fact that Nikki Cross wasn't even on the program tonight. The only build-up on the go-home edition of SmackDown before Clash of Champions was Bayley cutting, albeit another insanely good promo, but that promo was just as much about Sasha Banks as it was her opponent on Sunday in Nikki Cross.
Exactly. And see, that ties into the reason why the Roman Reigns Jey Uso thing is working, because none of us think that he's actually going to win, right? But who cares? The storyline has been there, so that's why we're interested. So that's the one thing that you can definitely say is lacking, from the Bayley, Nikki Cross, from Asuka, Zelina, whatever match you want to go ahead and say it with. That's what's missing, and that's one of the big differences. And I think it just goes goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and Matthew saying, unfortunately, if every title's to be defended, one will be regulated to the pre-show. And I agree with you. That's fine. I'm sorry, throw the United States Championship match on there. How many times do we have to see Apollo feuding with the Hurt Business? Like, I'm sorry, that match, you look over on Monday Night Raw, and so many feuds have been going on since WrestleMania. Not a whole lot has been changed. I'm not nearly as invested in most of those matches on Raw, so you take the one new kind of exciting thing in Zelina Vega's shot, and you're putting that on the pre-show. So I definitely disagree with that. And Ozzy was asking, why no United States Championship match on Sunday? There is. It was a brief mention on Monday Night Raw, but Apollo is getting another crack at the United States Championship when he takes on Bobby Lashley. Please keep your comments coming in. Please keep your likes and your engagements coming in. The more likes and hearts that we get, the more people that get attracted to the show, the bigger audience we get. So it really, really, really helps us out. Again, you are watching Smack Talk here on the Sportskeeda YouTube, Facebook, and now Twitter channel. I am Rick Ucchino. That is Denise Salcedo. Make sure to follow us on social media as well. I am at Rick Ucchino on Twitter, spelled just like you see. Denise, you have one of those weird ones with the underscore, right?
Somebody took Denise Salcedo. I had no choice. I had to go with the underscore, okay? And I don't know who this other Denise Salcedo is, but she beat me to it. So it is what it is.
She is not popular as this Denise Salcedo, though.
This is the Denise Salcedo to follow. But yeah, at underscore Denise Salcedo, Twitter and Instagram, YouTube. Just search me up. I mean, Google engine is great. It'll show you everything.
All right, fair enough. So we know Nikki Cross is losing on Sunday. The question is, how does she end up losing on Sunday? Does she just lose clean to Bayley? I don't think that necessarily progresses any of the storylines. I'm expecting Alexa to get involved in some way, shape, or form, and she ends up being the one that cost Nikki Cross that matchup. That can move that storyline progression forward, maybe finally sever the ties with Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss as friends or a tag team and move that into a new direction. And then I'm expecting Sasha Banks possibly to show up. I don't think Sasha Banks is going to show up and cost Bayley the SmackDown Women's Championship because Sasha specifically said last week she's coming after that title. She wants to be the one to take it from Bayley.
So I like your idea, but I'll go the other way around. I actually don't think we're going to be seeing Sasha. I mean, she just got beat on SmackDown last week, so technically she should be taking some more time to, go ahead and do her thing. And I'm going to go totally different from you. And I'm just going to say that Bayley is going to win clean because she is the one right now that is in the major storyline with Sasha Banks. So I think her having a clean finish would be more impactful for her reign and for what she's doing right now with Sasha Banks, because we all know that that's the money match. That's the match that we're probably going to be seeing headlining WrestleMania as of right now.
I agree with you. Except that I hate what that does for Nikki Cross because it literally does nothing for Nikki Cross. This would be her, third or fourth championship loss. A couple of them have been by, disqualification or some kind of interference, outside interference from Sasha Banks, which is why Nikki Cross is saying she's going to win this time, is because there's no outside interference. But a clean loss, again, for Nikki Cross doesn't really progress her forward at all. But if Alexa's the one that inadvertently ends up costing her that match, at least it's some storyline progression. I think Nikki's got to get something out of this matchup because she ain't getting the championship.
Well, I think the fact that Nikki Cross is in this match with Bayley is enough for her because I feel that Nikki Cross is technically slotted on that roster. We're not seeing her in this, we're not seeing her the same way that we see Sasha and Bayley. So I actually think that her losing clean doesn't actually do any harm for Nikki Cross because she's sort of where she's at right now. And I just think that it would be, I don't want to always have to see technically somebody coming in and, causing a disqualification or distracting somebody. I'd rather have somebody take a clean win than have to see this happened because we want to continue with Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. Have them do their thing something else. And that's one of the things that always happens with the women's matches is that they always put in so many different feuds into one. And it's like, let one person do one thing and let one person do another thing. But I do get it in the sense that right now, Alexa Bliss, she tends to go off in these weird moments where she attacks where she attacked, Nikki Cross and she couldn't even explain it. I get that, but I just feel like I would just prefer it the other way just so that, we can just continue moving forward and streamline Bayley and Sasha.
I can admit when I'm wrong. I think you sold me just on the sheer
fact
I
really?
Yes,
oh, man.
just off of the sheer fact that you made me realize I was pitching something that I absolutely hate about WWE right now, and that's all these outside interferences and DQs. On one hand, I'm screaming for some clean finishes. Like, for the love of God, how many times does Keith Lee's match have to end in a disqualification?
Thank you.
And then I'm over here on the right side of things saying, hey, I think Nikki Cross should get cost this matchup. So, yeah, all right, I'm a hypocrite in some situations, Rick, but at least I can admit when I'm wrong.
You can't have your cake and eat it too.
I'm admitting that. Let's see. Carissa, who is a regular, hi Carissa, says Bayley and Sasha at Hell in a Cell. Yes, I absolutely do believe that is the direction they're going to go. I do believe that match will main event. At least it absolutely should main event. Matthew, wasn't Otis supposed to make a decision this week? He absolutely should. Was supposed to. Major plot hole. I promise we will get to that as it goes on. Please continue to send in your comments. Make sure to give us some love up there at the top. It really does help us out. Jeffrey, should Nikki Cross bring back that sanity wild side at Clash of Champions? And that was a storyline that was kind of pushed in her match. I believe it with Lacey Evans was that she just didn't have enough of that meanness, that wild side. And it's like, and WWE does this a lot. They tend to just kind of discard whatever somebody does in NXT. I'm like, are you kidding me? Does anybody remember Nikki Cross Insanity? Because I sure do. She definitely has a mean streak there. I would love to see some of that come out on Bayley and at least give us the illusion that Nikki Cross has a chance of winning this matchup.
Right. I would love to just see her snap and be like, you know what? I'm done with everybody thinking that I'm this nice person that, can get wins. Because what did Lacey said? That she was nice and that she was short. And I forgot what else she said. But she just completely called out all her flaws.
That's what Lacey Evans does. Yeah, but Ozzy chiming in, happy Miro Day. Absolutely, happy Miro Day for you as well. John chiming in, saying so hyped for Clash of Champions, especially Roman and Jey Uso. We did talk about that a little bit earlier on. And yeah, that match, I don't have a good feeling for Jey Uso for sure. Frank chiming in, I think the mystery woman is Carmella. I absolutely agree. I do believe this mystery woman is Carmella. I do have questions on that, though. Denise, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. We've seen these vignettes, these teaser images selling the sex appeal of whomever the mystery woman is. It definitely appears to be Carmella, and now we find out that whoever this mystery woman is, in some way, shape, or form, is untouchable. What are your thoughts on all of this progression? And if it is Carmella, what do you think this is going to mean for her moving forward?
All right, so given that I haven't heard anybody else give any other rumor that I think might be legit, I would have to go with Carmella as well. And I love the vignettes. I love everything that they've been doing because I'm really into that, that glamorous type of woman, so I love the fact that they're selling that in all of these vignettes. However, I just hope that there's a big enough payoff to these vignettes that we're seeing versus the ones we saw with Liv Morgan, where she's in the bathtub, she's looking in the mirror, and I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be a new Liv. This is going to be fantastic. Then she comes back, she's in love with Lana for a week maybe, and then that's it. That's over with. So I just hope this untouchable thing actually works out. And, I just think that they have so many women on the roster, so might as well utilize them, make them a different, variation of each other. And that's one of the things that I definitely want to see. So, I mean, if this is what they're going with the untouchable gimmick, then I'm here for it. I like it so far from what I've seen, though. So I'm judging early.
Yeah, and Paul puts out the mystery woman does have the same tattoo as Carmella in the same spot. So yes, it is her. That is one of the evidence pieces that's popped up on social media. That's one of the reasons why I also think that it is Carmella. I wouldn't put it past WWE to pull a swerve, to use Carmella in these vignettes, and then all of a sudden, hey, body transformation, here's Dana Brooke, or here's somebody else. It
would be too obvious. It would be too obvious.
It would be way too obvious. It would be like, oh, I don't know, throwing out a fake Diesel and a fake Razor Ramon. Who would ever think that would happen, right? Let's not put it past WWE to do anything there, Denise. But I do think it's Carmella. I hope in the same vein, yes, that this does something for her, because she has really been on the back burner for a long time. And she this is something that we talked about last week. She was doing fantastic work with R-Truth and was incredibly over with the crowd. And then all of a sudden they finally decided to split her and R-Truth up. They move her over to SmackDown. All they had to do was continue that momentum to let Carmella be one of the top baby faces in the women's division, because she was over with the fans, and just let her continue that work in a singles career. And they just didn't do it. They never capitalized, and now she's been on the shelf for a long time. So at least, whether this is another Emelina reboot attempt, I don't know what this character gimmick is, at least it's something, because she hasn't been doing anything for far too long now. And by the way, since you put it up on a T for me, and maybe you did it, you mentioned Liv Morgan and her vignettes. I did have a chance to chat with Liv Morgan today. That interview is going to come out tomorrow on the Sportskeeda YouTube channel. We'll post it to Facebook as well. And yes, I did ask her about those vignettes, and I did ask her about the Lana angle as well. So make sure to check that out. I will be putting it out on my Twitter as well. Again, you can follow me at Rick Ucchino and follow her at _Denise Salcedo. You are watching Smack Talk here on the Sportskeeda YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter account. We appreciate the 49 people who are watching so far. Again, make sure to give us a little bit of love there in the corner. It really helps drive up our numbers and really helps get more eyes on the show. We do have about 25 more minutes left in the program. Denise, we do have a hard out at 11, and we have a lot more show to get to. Let's go back to the beginning of SmackDown tonight. The show kicks off with another really, really hot story angle right now. We have AJ Styles kicking off with Sami Zayn and Jeff Hardy in the first ever Ascension ceremony. Sure, it was basically a substitution for a contract signing, right? Like,
with a fancy title, fancy name.
Yeah, just put 2 championship belts up on. At least they're recognizing like Sami Zayn's championship belt. So they finally throw Sami Zayn a nugget there. Because win, lose, or draw on Sunday, he still is the one true Intercontinental champion. And if anybody says different, you are wrong. I'm sorry. But they do the Ascension ceremony. Again, as I mentioned earlier, Sami Zayn just has the gall to ask Jeff Hardy if he knows how dangerous a ladder match is, which legitimately made me laugh out loud for a solid 5 minutes because it was just peak Sami Zayn. And then it looks like, hey, everybody's going to walk away. We all said our piece. We put I'm knocking over my lamp. We put the championship belts up on the hook. It's raised up. Everything's fine. Sami Zayn tips the ladder over, drills both Hardy and AJ Styles. And then all of a sudden, here comes pseudo GM Adam Pearce, who I'm loving in this role, by the way. It's really nice to have an authority figure. I don't know what his title is. Obviously, he's a producer, but he's really working that GM angle, and he's doing a great job of it. Sometimes you just need that authority figure there, that unbiased authority figure there, and I'm really, really liking what he's doing. And then he sets up the match that you hated, Denise. He sets up the triple threat match for you.
Oh, come on now. I didn't hate it. I did not hate it. Man, Rick, already setting me up for failure. I'm just kidding. Okay, look, I'm sorry. I just prefer things to be, I prefer for them to be saved. I want to have the anticipation going into it, especially when it's the most exciting match that they have on the show. I'm sorry, but I want to have that be saved. I want to, work up my own creations inside my own mind until I finally get to see it on the card. The big day for me, that adds, a lot of hype. So sort of seeing the match, ahead of time, it sort of takes away from that. I mean, think about that. If you imagine, that's how I feel. Imagine this really big match and you're really excited to see it, and then you just see it right before, but it doesn't have everything that it doesn't have all the extra things that is supposed to go into the actual main event. It takes away from it. But I didn't hate the match. I didn't think it was great either. I'm not going to come out here and say that match was fantastic. Thought it was okay.
Matthew brings up a good point here, and I really hope they don't do this, but they keep mentioning both belts and not taking down one belt. Could we have another fishy angle here? Where maybe Sami Zayn pulls down one championship and then Jeff Hardy or AJ Styles pulls down another. This didn't even cross my mind until Matthew just brought it up. So that's a very, very good point. God, I would hate that finish. I would absolutely hate that finish.
Maybe it'll be where one guy grabs it, the other guy grabs it, and then they're like, well, you guys both grabbed it. So, all right, next week you guys go ahead. And then whoever wins from that match, I mean, come on, at this point, that'll probably happen.
Yeah. God, now I can't get it out of my head. Now I'm not even excited for the ladder match anymore. Okay, so you have these. Yeah.
I want a spot fest. I want a spot fest.
Oh, it's got to be a spot fest.
Sue me. That's what I want to see.
So are you saying you don't care who walks away with the Intercontinental Championship? If it is one guy, are you saying you don't care who it is at the end of the match? You have all three of these guys who are staking different claims for the championship. Sami Zayn saying he never lost it, which, yes, he technically never did, but he also took a several-month hiatus, which meant they had to strip him of the championship. Jeff Hardy obviously won the title from AJ Styles, but AJ Styles says that he only did it to cheat, so by cheating using the knee brace. So we have all three of these guys all staking a different claim. Who do you want to see walk away with the championship, assuming it is one person walking away with both belts on Sunday?
Sami Zayn. I think he's the one who definitely needs it. He's the one that, with everything that he's been doing, I mean, come on, give it to him. He would just be phenomenal with it. I just feel that, you know, Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles, they don't need it. They really don't. I mean, you can have them do whatever you want, and it's not like they have to earn that credibility from the audience. Nah, you don't need any of that. So have Sami Zayn, and I think everybody wants to see Sami Zayn win this one, just based on like your opinion, my opinion, and what I've been seeing on social media. But with that being said, I just want to see a bomb-ass match, you know, with this ladder match. I mean, come on, look at the guys that are in this match and think about the things that they can do. I'm sorry, but that gets me really excited. So that's what I want to see. I want to see just like a bunch of crazy spots, and you know, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm signing up for this match.
Yeah, you have two of the best wrestlers on the planet today, right now. And that's not a knock on Jeff Hardy's in-ring skills, but two of the absolute best in-ring technicians in Sami Zayn and AJ Styles. Sami Zayn doesn't get the credit that he deserves because, frankly, since his call-up to the main roster, he's been incredibly underutilized. He's been on the lower part of the card to barely up on the midway. He's been doing a lot of his best work, though, when he was a manager. And again, he's had some problems. He's had some shoulder issues. He's had several surgeries. He had a major setback after his match with John Cena, in which he hurt his shoulder in that match and then had to be gone for several months. So it's not all his fault. It's not all WWE's fault. Sometimes, you know, things just don't shake out. But it doesn't change the fact that he's one of the best wrestlers on the planet, and he's been incredibly underutilized in his time on the main roster. Not only does he need this championship, not only did he deserve it to win it earlier this year and then retain it at WrestleMania over Daniel Bryan, but I want to see him have this championship all the way through WrestleMania. I want him to have, you know, because we all want to root for Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is just this. First off, he's such a good person in real life, which makes it incredibly difficult for anybody to boo him. And he's so good at that heel role that you don't want to boo him. You want to cheer him because he's so good at his job. I want to see Sami Zayn win this matchup, complete the babyface turn, and then just go on and have that Iron Man, Seth Rollins type Intercontinental Championship reign and really solidify him as one of the best wrestlers in the world. Because even early on, he was doing that chicken crap, ducking and dodging with Braun Strowman. You can't touch me, and I'm going to have my goons beat you up. And he's running away from fights. They started doing that with AJ Styles when he was the Intercontinental Champion, and it was driving me nuts. Because these two are the best technical wrestlers on the planet. They shouldn't be afraid to fight anybody. So I really want to see Sami Zayn get a strong Intercontinental title run, and that's why I want him to win on Sunday.
Oh man, I'm here for that. I think you nailed it. I think you nailed it on that one. I think everything that you said in terms of why Sami Zayn should be the champion is exactly the reason. I mean, I don't think he has a very unique personality, a very unique character that is just like within him. Like he's not pretending. But here's the thing, like you said, when he's a heel, when he's a face, it doesn't matter. Whatever he does well. Like when he's a heel, he's that cool heel that you want to be best friends with. You're like, oh, I want that to be my buddy, you know? So, right. I mean, whatever he does, I'm a fan, so that's why I'm here for it on that one.
And you know what, Phil? I will never have enough with Sami Zayn, okay? Never. There is never enough Sami Zayn in my life. He is the one true Intercontinental Champion, and you should all get used to it very, very soon. All right, Denise, let's move on. We had a question about this earlier with Otis and the Money in the Bank contract situation. He was given some legal papers last week that were drafted very, very quickly. Apparently, The Miz has some serious connections and can get documents drawn up and court orders in 45 minutes. So this was something that they handed down. Otis, after the beatdown and the humiliation that he served The Miz last week, was given 1 week's time to decide whether or not he was going to turn over his Money in the Bank contract to The Miz or face a serious legal battle in court. And we were supposed to get the decision tonight. We never did. We ended up getting a brawl backstage. Obviously, at some point, this is leading to a match of some kind. Otis kind of teased that a little bit, said, hey, look, we don't settle things in the court where I'm from. We settle them, you know, in the ring. We settle them man-to-man, mano-a-mano. At some point, there's going to be a match here. Do you think The Miz is going to be a guy who takes the Money in the Bank briefcase off of Otis? Or is this just kind of a way to give Otis some momentum back that he desperately lost over the summer?
Honestly, I feel the storyline has been a little bit confusing because it kind of really doesn't make sense. On what grounds can they technically really take away his Money in the Bank contract? I mean, unless there's this big unwritten rule that I don't know about. And if there is, you might as well tell me now because I don't know what that unwritten rule is. So I feel that this has sort of been a little bit unclear to me. And because of that, I feel like there probably isn't a real end game in terms of what they really want to do with this storyline. So I feel like they're making it up as they go because it still feels like, yeah, something's, yeah, I know, right? Shocking.
WWE would never do that. Shut up.
Breaking news. Honestly, though, but it's very noticeable with this storyline is what I'm trying to say, is that I just feel like what's happening? I don't get it. Why are they taking, I just don't get the grounds on why they want his Money in the Bank. I know why they want it, but I don't get the grounds as to why they have these lawyers going after him. I think that needs to be further explained for the demos like me.
Would you like to know what the golden rule that you don't know is?
Go for it. Throw it in there.
Yeah, the golden rule for WWE is that the rules don't matter and they make it up as they go along. That's what it is. They change the rules as need be to fit whatever storyline they're trying to concoct. So if they can't squeeze a storyline into the certain parameters, guess what they do? They change the parameters, just like they did with Brock Lesnar when he won the Money in the Bank contract. All of a sudden, Brock Lesnar could cash in on anybody he wanted, not just the champion of his brand. It all depends on whatever they want to do. They'll change the rules. That's just what they do. So welcome to the WWE, where the rules are made up and they don't matter.
There you go. But honestly, though, I do love everything that Otis does, and I think he has so much charisma, and it's just so funny that I want to see him, keep that Money in the Bank. I mean, obviously, I'm not expecting him to cash in and win or anything like that, but I think that they could get very creative, and you put him to good use. He has a lot of character. The guy can do it.
He does. I don't see him yet as a future world champion. I don't for a second believe that he's going to cash in that championship on anybody. And frankly, anybody involved in this storyline. I don't see The Miz cashing in and winning, although he's more believable than Otis is right now. And I honestly wouldn't be mad at another Miz title run. I think it's long overdue for how good that he is.
I would be. No.
It's the wrong time now. It's the wrong time now. The ship sailed. When he was white hot with his feud with Daniel Bryan, and when Daniel Bryan came back and he was the champion, that was the time to do it. That was the time to revisit it. That was the time to get into it. It's long since passed now, and The Miz has got to build up some kind of momentum again. Problem is that The Miz is one of those guys that keeps getting traded back and forth from brand to brand, and will probably end up being back on Raw sometime in the next month or two whenever this draft actually happens, and he just gets rebooted and restarted all over again, so it's hard for him to continue to gain traction. When it comes to Otis, man, I don't know if he's going to be the one that, if he loses that Money in the Bank briefcase to The Miz, or whether to be to Morrison, or maybe they're opening it up for him to lose it to somebody else down the line who has a chance of winning the Universal or WWE Championship. But at least what they're doing with this storyline, as confusing as it can be at times, they're at least reminding you of the importance of the Money in the Bank briefcase, because it has really kind of been just MIA from any kind of storylines for the entire summer, pretty much since Otis won it. He had that period where he disappeared for 3 or 4 weeks at a time with Mandy Rose, with Sonya Deville, and then all of a sudden he pops back in there. And it seemed like for weeks at a time they would barely mention the fact that he had the Money in the Bank briefcase. And at least now they're kind of ramping it back up, that it's like, oh yeah, here's Otis, and he's the guy who's got a guaranteed world title shot whenever he wants. So at least they're doing that.
Yeah, and it's because it's Otis. I mean, if it was anybody else, somebody that you actually thought had a real opportunity of cashing in and winning the title, you would think like, okay, then obviously people would be, hey, is so-and-so going to cash in the Money in the Bank now, like prior Money in the Bank winners. But because it's Otis, unfortunately, it was just used as a ha-ha moment. And I don't think anybody saw it as more than that, which is kind of unfortunate for him. But I mean, that's just what's expected given his character.
Paul wants to know, how much money did I pay Denise to agree with me 100% on how amazing Sami Zayn is? I didn't pay her a cent. And surprisingly, I didn't have to pay her at all to come and agree to do this show with me either, which was amazing. I thought I was going to have to cut a check on that.
No, dude, I love Sami Zayn. Like, just quick story. I mean, I used to go watch him in PWG all the time as El Generico, and he was the guy that never skipped me and always gave me a high five at every show, and I will never forget that.
Very good. Mercedes says, Team Sasha, I'm with you on that one. I think as soon as we get past Clash of Champions, Sasha Banks is going to quickly become the top babyface on SmackDown, period. And I'm looking forward to that matchup between her and Bayley. I got a couple more things to get through, Denise, here in the final 10 minutes. Something I wasn't expecting to talk about tonight, King Corbin and Matt Riddle. I'm not going to lie. When they announced this matchup, and I even wrote it down in my notes. I don't know if you can see that.
No.
Probably not.
No.
Yeah. I literally wrote, oh, good. We're back on King Corbin and Matt Riddle. Fantastic. I thought the show was about to go off the rails at that particular moment. But you know what? That match was great. That match was absolutely spectacular between Matt Riddle and King Corbin. And that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody because they're both incredibly good in the ring. I got to say this, though. I've said it once. I'll say it 1,000 times. I'm so tired with the King Corbin gimmick. Like, he is so much better than this gimmick. He is a guy who could be competing with Roman Reigns for a Universal Championship. He's that good in the ring. He's very fluid. I think he can dance with pretty much anybody. He's got the most dominant moveset in the business. Get this guy off TV for a couple of months and bring him back with that Roman Reigns-esque level reboot. Just bring him back as a badass and just let him start beating the crap out of people. And people will get behind Baron Corbin. I guarantee you they will.
I'm just going to say one thing. Yeah, the match was fine, but, and this is a big but Matt Riddle lost to Baron Corbin. I'm sorry, but there is no... I mean, he lost to Baron Corbin, and I get it. They even tried doing, the promo afterwards to try to get some of his momentum back. No, point blank, he lost to Baron Corbin. Matt Riddle is being 50-50 booking, and he's being slotted, and that's not what we had. That's not what we thought was going to happen with Matt Riddle. So at the end of the day, he lost to Baron Corbin, and so that does nothing for him. Fine match, but he lost, and that's it.
Yeah, you're right. It does absolutely nothing. And frankly, I was surprised by the ending. I was surprised King Corbin won this because he hasn't been winning a whole lot of matches this year. Ever since he broke that window at that mirror at Money in the Bank, he has been on a massive losing streak. I think the only person that he's beaten so far this year is Shorty G on like multiple occasions. And that's because they can't give Chad Gable a victory over literally anybody. So, I think
It doesn't matter. Baron Corbin's been losing. Doesn't matter. Has anybody complained? If so, I want to meet that person.
Right here. Because I think Baron Corbin could be so much than what he is. I just want to see him booked properly. This guy is 6'8", 280 pounds. The guy's a freaking beast. He's great in the ring. He's got a good attitude. He knows how to get heat. We can argue all day whether or not it's the right kind of heat. But man, the guy could be so much more than what he is. And frankly, I've talked to him before. He's a great dude. He really is.
Oh, yeah,
I want so much more for Baron Corbin. And man, I'm tired of seeing him lose. I'm tired of the King gimmick. I'd like to see a nice big reboot in his future. As far as what this does for Matt Riddle, I frankly don't know. I think this sends Matt Riddle back down to the bottom of the card. I really do. I think he came out. They really wanted to do something with him. There were some things that happened outside of the ring. A lot of people know what I'm talking about. He's taken a major hit as far as following, as far as people wanting to see him in a WWE ring. I see tweets from dozens of people every time he's gone out there saying, get Matt Riddle off of my TV screen. Maybe this has something to do with it. Or maybe it's just another case of here's an NXT superstar that was brought up that was billed like they're the greatest thing since the invention of sliced bread. They get a couple of big wins, and then all of a sudden, boom, they find themselves on the bottom of the card struggling to climb up the ladder to grab that proverbial brass ring.
Yeah, I mean, it could be either one of those two things. I just don't think that, I honestly just expected a whole lot more, and I think that there is a big belt being missed there with Matt.
I mean, again, there's no doubting either one of these guys. As far as their in-ring ability, that ripcord knee into the deep six, pop of the night for me as far as an in-ring maneuver. I mean, those guys work really well with each other. Hopefully that's it for them as far as right now, because this Baron Corbin, Matt Riddle thing, it's fine. It kind of needs to go away. But yeah, I don't know where Matt Riddle goes from here. We will have to wait. I'm sure we will talk about it as we progress with our Smack Talk episodes here. About 5 more minutes left.
We're probably going to see him. We're going to probably see him against Baron Corbin again.
Yep, that's going to happen next week. Thanks, Denise. Thanks for jinxing that. All right, and with our final 5 minutes here, we got one more match set up before for Clash of Champions from the SmackDown side, and that is the Tag Team Championship matchup. This was another really good match. Shinsuke Nakamura defeats Gran Metalik, setting up this Lucha House Party versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro. Look, this is another one of these matchups that I would be absolutely stunned if there is a title change, especially with the infighting, the bickering going on with Lucha House Party right now. I don't know what the end game there is. I don't know what the point of breaking them up is, especially since they have broken up so many tag teams over the last couple of weeks. But there definitely seems to be something going on between Kalisto and Lindsay Dorado and Gran Metalik. I don't know if they get on the same page to win these tag team championships, but I'm really digging the team of Cesaro and Nakamura. I wouldn't be upset if they were the bar, basically. This group of two really, really good singles competitors that are just going to make a damn good tag team while they're at it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that sense. And I think that this match with Gran Metalik and Shinsuke Nakamura was better than the match that he had last week with Cesaro. I thought this match was really great because they actually gave him some moments to actually shine. He had some great spots in there. And I mean, Gran Metalik is seriously such a talented performer. And I don't think people realize just how talented he is because we've never gotten an opportunity to see that in WWE. And they've never really showcased that for him. So I think if they did, they would honestly have like such an amazing, they could have so many great matches with him. And this was just a little tiny, very minuscule glimpse of that.
All right, so as we wind things down, let's get a couple of more comments here. John wants to see the Lone Wolf gimmick come back. I wasn't a big fan of the Lone Wolf gimmick. I just want to see badass Baron Corbin beat up people. Is that too much to ask? Make him a boxer. I don't care, dude. He's got that background. Do whatever you want. Give him a new character though, which the two that he's done so far, they just haven't really been working. Benjamin wants to know how we would rate tonight's show. I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. Denise, what about you?
If we're doing it at a scale of 1 to 10, I would say a 6.
All right, fair enough. And then just because I love it when anybody agrees with me, Paul said, I agree with you. Rick said a couple of weeks ago when they need to unify all the tag team titles, it would be way better. I think, they just have way too many championships in WWE. You don't need one set of women. I'm all about making things equal. You got one set of women's tag team titles. You got 3 set of men's titles. Doesn't make any sense. You're short on tag teams right now, which is why we're getting Nakamura and Cesaro versus Lucha House Party, for crying out loud, at Clash of Champions for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. New Day's out. The Usos are out. At least they're doing something with Jey Uso, as I mentioned. But you have a lot of other tag teams that are being broken up. There's not enough to go around for 3 championships. I just think it would make a lot of sense to combine them all. At least combine the SmackDown and Raw Tag Team Championships.
And I'm a little hopeful that they're inching in that direction because I feel it's not just something that the fans want, that the viewers want. I think it's something that at this point, because the tag team division is so practically non-existent, that at this point they're probably going to have to do that.
I would hope so. But eventually, the New Day and the Usos will come back, add to the tag team division, and that will really definitely help boost up the numbers. Paul, clicked on the wrong one. Yes, good night, Safet. I hope I'm saying that name correctly. But Paul is asking, no Big E tonight, or did I miss that? I did not see Big E tonight, which is kind of surprising coming off of the beating that he gave the security guard last week, which was peak Big E. That was fantastic. I was hoping to see some kind of a build off that, but obviously with this being the go-home show to Clash of Champions, they really wanted to make sure they got in all the storylines ahead of those title matches, which is why I think we didn't see Big E or Sheamus tonight. A few other superstars we didn't see as well, but it's only a 2-hour show. There's only so much that you can get in there. Real quick, Denise, with the 90 seconds we have left, let's run down these SmackDown matches, give our predictions for Clash of Champions. Let's start with the Tag Team Championship match, Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro defending against the Lucha House Party. Who wins?
Shinsuke and Cesaro.
yeah, I would be, again, stunned if Lucha House Party walks away with that. Who walks away as the one true Intercontinental Champion?
Sami Zayn.
Absolutely, it's going to be Sami Zayn, and it'll probably be Jeff Hardy, too. I can't get that finish out of my head that Matthew was talking about with somebody grabbing one of the titles, and maybe it'll be AJ Styles that pulls the other one down, and we can just get Sami Zayn and AJ Styles beating the crap out of each other in Hell in a Cell. I could live with that. Bayley, I have winning and retaining the SmackDown Women's Championship. Sasha getting involved at the end. You?
Definitely Bayley.
Yep. And then Roman Reigns over Jey Uso in what is going to be an absolute slaughter. I would like to see Jey Uso get a little bit of offense in. I don't think it's going to happen.
No, I agree with you. He's going to get slaughtered, but it's going to be a good one, a good beating.
It's going to be a fantastic beating. You take it like a man, Jey Uso. Denise, this was fun first show.
This was fun. Yes, it was definitely fun, and I'm so excited that this was our first show and just sort of, my introduction technically to the Sportskeeda audience. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for welcoming me on here.
Yes, make sure to follow Denise on Twitter @_ Denise Salcedo. You can follow me @no_. Ricky Ucchino spelled out just the way you see there on the screen. Enjoy Clash of Champions. Denise and I will be back next Friday night at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time to break down everything that happened on the Friday Night SmackDown. This has been Smack Talk right here on the Sportskeeda YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter channels. Good night, everybody.